All this noise you're hearing on the right wing about Russia, forget it. That has nothing to do with our energy security, and it will not affect the price if we're worried about that on the global market. Bottom line is, this is American territory is what this is. This is the land of the American people who are concerned about their future, who are concerned about carbon emissions, who are concerned about their stability. They pay taxes too. They claim that their representatives won't even listen to them. Now, if Congressman Terry won't listen to him, if Mr. Johans throws him out of the office, if nobody in Nebraska and the governor turns on him, Mr. President, it seems to me like you're going to have to go talk to these people in Nebraska. You're going to have to meet with them because the other representatives won't. You won't have all the information, Mr. President, unless you do what I did. It's an eye-opener. It's a risk. It's unnecessary. We don't have to do this. There's plenty of oil, and there's plenty of ways to move it. Putting it over the aquifer would be a huge mistake for America. And if you say no, Mr. President, it will be a huge symbolic symbol. It will be a huge symbolic statement to the country and to the world. We're serious about this climate thing. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question: is the Keystone XL pipeline worth the risk? Text A for yes, text B for no to 67622. You can always go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. For more, let me bring in Reuters reporter Ernest Schneider, who covered the event in Houston with TransCanada CEO Russ Girling. Great to have you with us tonight.
Thanks, Ed.
What was the tone of what was being said at that event? I'm curious about that.
So Russ Girling, CEO of TransCanada, really tried to project a sense of inevitability around the Keystone XL pipeline extension, and he sort of has to. Much of the capacity for the Keystone XL has already been sold, so you referenced his shareholders earlier, and certainly he wants to kind of calm their nerves. But at this major conference, CIRA, here in Houston, he also has many of his customers, the companies that actually extract the crude oil from the ground. They're nervous, and so he wants to basically calm them down and let them know, hey, this is going to happen.
What do they say about a potential oil leak of a big magnitude over the aquifer? And it could happen. And in business, you don't make decisions. You look at everything before you make a decision. This is an absolute. Put the experts aside, pro, con, whatever. This is where they want to put it. This is the potential damage if something goes wrong. That's irreversible. You can't change that. What do they say to that?
You know, I asked Girling that very same question. I had a few minutes with him, and he said, he goes, look, this will be a brand new pipeline. So he used that sort of as his defense against any potential spill. There is a broad acknowledgement in the pipeline industry that yes, leaks do happen, but it's a cost of doing business. So Girling really says, look, this is going to be a brand new pipeline. That's how he views it. As
new pipelines have no disasters whatsoever. Does TransCanada CEO Russ Girling think this is a done deal?
I would say that he's trying to certainly project that. I did ask him, I said, well, ultimately President Obama could come back and say no in a few months. He didn't really want to talk about that, but when I pushed him hard on it, he said, look, if we get a no, we're going to be there the next day with another application for a pipeline. So he's going to push hard on this. They're $2.2 billion into this project, and so they've got a lot on the line. The whole entire project is $5.4 billion. So there's a lot of money at play here.
Ernest Schneider, thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate it so much. I want to bring in Congressman Grijalva of Arizona, who is questioning the entire credibility of the State Department report that came out. Congressman, your reaction to TransCanada CEO saying the pipeline, quote, is going to be built?
Well, I think you described it well. Arrogance, also a tone of desperation, if I may say, that to try to reassure his investors, not the American people, his investors, his stockholders, that this is going to be built regardless of what opinion in this country is, regardless of what science tells us, and that's the crux of our challenge to the State Department, the perceived conflict of interest between the consulting company that did the report and providing the findings for the State Department. We've asked the Government Accountability Office to look into that, to look into the process State Department used, because we can't go back to an era where Cheney and Bush would decide in secret meetings what the energy policy for America needs to be.
Yeah.
If we're going to base this on science, let's make sure the science is clean, and certainly the organization being paid by our tax dollars also is clean and free of conflict of interest. And in this case, this company did work for TransCanada in the past.
Okay, Congressman, what would be a good study for you to point to? And I've seen a number of them. What would be a good study that you would rely your integrity on?
I think the American people would place a great deal of integrity in a transparent process, in a process in which all the points are vetted, and where there is no appearance and no direct conflict of interest. I think you go to the Academy of Science, you go to those kinds of reputable organizations to get the kind of independent, unbiased look at the reality of what this project means. To do less than that and to have a cozy business relationship with the company and the consultant that is advising the State Department, I think is something the American people are not going to have any credibility in. And this pipeline is not going to deal with the occupation of Russia in the Ukraine. This is not going to give us energy independence. This is all about exporting that Canadian product out of in the Gulf out to the rest of the world. And whatever that CEO said, that is a climate change bomb, an emissions bomb that in those oil shades that is proportionally much larger than any other extraction going on at this point.
You mentioned desperation. The conservative narrative right now is very desperate when they're tying it to Russia and our energy independence security. They just don't understand the consumption of it all. Congressman Raul Grijalva, good to have you with us tonight. I appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Coming up, the fight for public education is heating up across the country. The Rapid Response Panel will join me to discuss how conservatives are using children as political pawns in the for-profit education industry. But first, more than 2 million Americans, the number's moving up, are now without unemployment insurance benefits. Congressman James Clyburn weighs in. Stick around. We're right back at the Ed Show.
From your first breath to your first roll, Pampers Swaddlers was there. And now Swaddlers are available through size 5 for many more firsts to come. Pampers.
Save up to 20% at Best Western with a swipe, a tap, or a click. Save up to 20% and enjoy free high-speed internet, a hot breakfast, and 1,500 rewards points. Only at bestwestern.com.
Every dream or project has to start somewhere. A Brother P-Touch labeler can help you start the right way. So whether it's a new career, new home, or new family, reach for a P-Touch labeler. It can help your biggest or littlest dream come true. Label it. Start here. Brother P-Touch. Available.